I attempted to do this review while stripping in a cemetery, but apparently that's frowned upon in 2025. Woke. We are here today to talk about The Return of the Living Dead, which follows two bumbling employees at a medical supply warehouse that accidentally release a deadly gas into the air. The vapors and acid rain cause the dead to rise again as the living dead. So this is the first time I've ever seen this movie. When I was deciding what theme I wanted to do for the month of October, I was like, do I want to do ghost, vampires? I settled on zombies because I like zombies. My second favorite comic book series of all time is the Walking Dead series. I've always loved Shaun of the Dead, always loved Night of the Living Dead. So when I was looking at list of famous or popular zombie movies, I realized I really hadn't seen any of them, right? So then I thought, perfect genre to review for the month of October because I hadn't seen most of these zombie movies. This one, Return of the Living Dead, I always thought going into it was like a comedy, a parody, a spoof. What I instead got was a movie with a couple laughs here and there, but mostly it ended up being one of the scariest, if not the scariest zombie movie I've ever seen. Now, that will probably be attributed most to me watching this movie alone at midnight. But when it comes to the other zombie movies I have watched, they haven't necessarily been scary. They've been messed up, or in the case of Wreck, which I watched a couple days ago, it's much scarier than, the 80s films and definitely Night of the Living Dead and stuff like that. But there's an uneasiness to the Return of the Living Dead, which just made my skin crawl. The way the zombies are portrayed are not only do they look terrifying, but the way there's this extra added element of not only are these zombies smart, they're not just mindless eating machines. These are creatures that will manipulate you, in the very funny line where they say send more paramedics and then send more cops later on. But they work together as a group to not only manipulate you to get more food or to get you specifically, but in the case of the Tarman zombie, he is like fashioning a chain around a door to like rip it off its hinges. The zombies in this movie are the most terrifying zombies of any movie I've seen so far, not only from their design, but just the fact that there's nothing you can do to stop them. It takes basically at the end, I don't know if you want to just say that was a bomb or a nuke, but it basically takes military assets to get rid of these zombies, because we see with the Burt, Frank, Freddy, and Ernie characters where they release the gas, Freddy and Burt do, and it activates the tar monster, which is the monsters are in these tanks are the zombies that the movie Night of the Living Dead was based on, right? It was apparently a true story that George Romero had to change the facts around a little so the US Army didn't sue him, but the Army captured these zombies, put them in these steel tanks, and then kind of just sealed them off from the world and tried to erase that history, right? So Burt is a manager of this medical supply warehouse, and Freddy, it's his first day to be a big shot. Burt is like, you want to see where we got these zombies downstairs, you want to see them? Takes him down there. It's a very funny joke where he's like, these are built by the US Army, of course they're not gonna break. And then he hits it, gas shoots out at them, and then the movie starts. But the thing the movie does very well right from the start is that it shows that when they first encounter the cadaver is the first living dead they have come out of the freezer. They think, oh, these zombies are based on the movie Night of the Living Dead, so you just have to destroy the brain and, that's it. So they they call the owner of the warehouse and say, Frank, we have a problem, those tanks, blah, blah, blah. So when he gets there, he says, oh, we just got to take care of this thing the way they took care of it in the movie. Pickaxe right through the head. Not only does it not kill the cadaver, it makes him scream bloody murder. So then Frank grabs a bone saw and is just sawing at the back of the zombie's neck. And now not only do you hear the sound of the tearing flesh, but you hear the vocal cords being ripped out as the bone saw is going through the zombie's neck. One of the most terrifying scenes you're ever going to see in a zombie movie, just because of how brutal it is, and everybody in this scene is just screaming and crying, and the zombie himself is screaming. It is really, really messed up. And then the zombie stands up without a head, and they realize, oh, the movie, in a very funny line, Freddy screams, the movie lied to us because the zombie is not dead. That does not kill the zombie. So instead, their plan is to cut the zombie into as many pieces as they can, put it into trash bags, and go to the business across the street that has a crematorium. So they go over there. That is when they meet Ernie, and Ernie is working on a dead body that had rigor mortis. So there's a nice setup to him explaining what rigor mortis is that comes back later. But at this moment, these three, Burt, Freddy, and Frank, have to convince Ernie that they just need to throw in these garbage bags into a furnace just to get rid of it. So once he starts getting kind of creeped out and just being like, why am I not allowed to see what's in the bags? Why are you guys lying about this? They finally show him the arm of the zombie and us, the audience, where it's like, oh, they've cut this zombie up into a million pieces. All the pieces are still alive, right? Independent from the body. So then they throw it in the furnace, think that is the end of it. And then all of a sudden the clouds go into the sky, turns the clouds into basically acid rain. It rains down on the graveyard, conveniently right next to the warehouse. And then we see the dead start rising up. But not only that, we also have the lovable punk rock characters of great names such as Spider, Trash, Suicide, Scuz, and then my favorite, Tina, which is the best name when you read off this entire group's name, except for her, which she just has a normal name. And she is Freddy's girlfriend. The movie then at that point just devolves into this group of people, right? We have the warehouse workers. We also have Ernie, and then the punk rock group just kind of keep getting separated into different smaller groups between these two buildings and the cemetery. And the whole movie is just them trying to survive. There's nothing else they can do, because again, as we've seen at the beginning of the movie, these zombies are basically indestructible. It is crazy to me that before 1985, there was nothing in pop culture that connected Braains and zombies before this movie. It is insane to me that with all the Romero films, the thing that got stuck in pop culture is from this movie, which is zombies crave brains. We get a great scene in this movie where the Ernie character has captured a zombie, and she basically explains to the group that the zombies basically eating brains dulls the pain of being dead. So all these zombies are trying basically to get relief from death by eating brains. It's a great premise. It's a great idea. And again, I can't believe before 1985, we didn't associate zombies with brains, because in all the Romero films, the zombies are just eating human flesh, right? I don't even think we see a brain being eaten in any of the Romero films, but crazy to me that this is the movie that did it. This movie is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Yes, there is some jokes and some levity in it that does make scenes very funny, but the overall feeling of this movie is very dire, very tense, very just, these zombies are unkillable, just eating machines that, again, can talk, they can strategize, they're very smart, they're the most deadly version of a zombie we've seen on screen up until this point, especially in my movie watching career. Also, they are the first kind of regular people running in this movie. We obviously get fast zombies in movies after this, but up until this point, I don't believe there was a movie where we just see regular zombies who are just moving like humans. And then we also see unhuman movements, like with the Tar Man monster, who just moves like in such a weirdly creepy way. And he's called the Tar Man because he is the zombie that escaped from the container that Freddy and Burt accidentally opened. But his skin is just, once it hit the air, his skin is just melted off his body. And we see that great thing at the beginning of the movie where it's a time lapse over the credits of just all the layers of skin melting off him. So when we finally see him, he's just this black goo of a human where all of his skin has basically melted off of him. He's really creepy looking. And we see him eat, I believe it's Suicide's head, and then he's trying to get Tina out of the medicine cabinet. It's just a really creepy movie. And then also at the end of it, it's just like, oh yeah, there is basically no solution. Like, they've resisted the entire movie from calling the army number on the side of the tank because Burt's like, we don't know what'll happen when they get here. And what does happen is they call them. It's a very clinical step-by-step process where one of the army, I'm assuming generals, is just like, okay, how many people are infected? Like, he just very matter-of-factly goes through all the bullet points of questions you would think to ask, but he's not worried at all. And then we just see at the end where they just nuke the neighborhood. I believe it's Louisville, Kentucky. And they're just like, I don't think they nuke it. I think they put a missile in it, and they're just like, oh yeah, we got it. And then obviously they have multiple sequels after this, so I'm assuming they don't got it. But what a bleak, terrifying end to a zombie movie, which is just at the end, oh yeah, there's nothing we can do except just blow up everything associated with it. It's also really scary to just think of, oh yeah, everything you know about zombies is get rid of the head, get rid of the brain, they're done. This one, it's like, even if you burn them, that just makes more zombies because of that. So unless you just bury them underground in pieces and hope they never dig out, like, what else are you going to do? And then there's that terrifying scene with the paramedics where he just shines his light and all the zombies are just standing right in front of the vehicle. And it's again, this movie might have been at midnight, but creeped me the hell out. So The Return of the Living Dead, absolutely terrifying. Check it out. Tomorrow, we will be back with day 12 of a movie. You're about to find out what it's going to be on the slide next. So thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Adios.